Thank you.
You're welcome, and feel free to give me an email, and I'll leave a couple of my cards up here.
What was that website?
Yes, sjpd.org, or you can Google San Jose Police Department, and you'll see that come up. And anywhere in there, you could, in the search field, write body cameras, and you'll come directly to our page. And I don't think our email's on here, but it is body cameras at sanjoseca.gov. And our website's on my business card. I'm going to leave a stack here. So you can get the website. You're welcome.
Nice job.
Okay, next item, neighborhood safety. So this was, we had originally wanted to talk about, what is it, employment strategies and topic that kind of want to learn and talk and want to develop communications here. So, welcome.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and I hope it's all you expected. My name is Dave Goff. I'm the Deputy Chief of the Bureau of Field Operations. I've been with the department for almost 24 years. I have 4 years of prior experience with another agency. I'm currently in charge of really Bureau of Field Operations is the patrol division. It encompasses all uniform patrol, special operations, the airport, and I've been doing that for almost a year. So tonight we want to talk a little bit about public safety. We'll start off with some crime statistics. This is the same information that we report out to the Public Safety Finance and Strategic Support, which we'll get tomorrow, so you kind of have a preview of ahead of time. So the Uniform Crime Report is Department of Justice crime statistics that are compiled each year that the department's required to report on. The Part 1 crimes, as you see listed there. Violent crimes include homicide, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, and property crimes are burglary, larceny, and vehicle theft. As you can see from calendar year, year to date, 14 to 15, we have a 6.8% increase in San Jose in violent crimes and a 3.5% increase in property crimes. Now, if you'll note, violent crime and rape, it shows a 25% increase. That's mainly due to a revision and expanded definition that for the definition of rape. It's now it includes more crimes, so that's why you have a larger increase there of reported crimes. So under reported violent crimes, the next slide breaks down for you citywide. Now we have 4 divisions in the city, Foothills, Southern, Western, and Central. And each district, there's 4 districts within each division. So those numbers there are the breakdowns, same thing, year to date from 14 to 15. So you can kind of get an idea of where your districts are in relation to the police districts and the increases or decreases that we saw. Overall, there was a 7.7% increase, which, if you noted earlier with the reported UCR crimes, there's about a 1% difference between the overall crimes, and that's mainly because of crimes that are reported that we don't know where those locations took place. And the reason, or they're not reported San Jose locations. An example would be somebody walks into a hospital with a stab wound or a violent injury that gets reported out, and maybe they took place outside San Jose, or they don't remember where the crime was, or the general location where it was located, but we can't find a physical address. So those are the type of examples of where you get a little bit of a discrepancy. Moving along to reported violent gang-related incidents. Now this just takes place, this is in October, so last month of reported incidents, reported gang incidents. We had 6 in the city. We had 3 in the Foothill Division which is over on the east side, and 3 in the Western Division. And this, again, this is just an example of information we report out to the Public Safety Committee bi-monthly. So reported burglaries. Everybody likes to talk about burglaries. Unfortunately, we've had some issues with burglaries over the last year, and since our staffing issues have complicated things and our ability to respond really appropriately. So from 14 to 15, this is the breakdown bureau-wide of our reported burglaries. And interestingly enough, to date, we have exactly the same reported burglaries that we did last year. The next slide will break it down even further for you in a chart. Now, this information is sent. This is example. There's a slide for each division, so you get an idea of what we look at and what the division captains look at. So this information is compiled by the Research and Development, Crime Analysis Unit, and sent to the division captains. And we also have a software program called it's developed by Omega. It's a Crime View dashboard software in which we can search and analyze reported crimes throughout the city. And by doing that, what we do is we look for kind of trends and anomalies that are occurring in different crimes throughout the city. This one happens to be burglaries. So we look at that trend line. So underneath, on the very bottom of that slide, it shows districts. District Edward, District King, District Robert, District Victor. Those are all in Central Division. So you see that the elevated levels of reported burglaries in District Robert. The rest of them are fairly within their normal limits over the year. If you go to the next slide, you'll see similar comparisons. And then you'll see that spike in August and September. So there's a lot of things we do within the division to address spikes in different crimes. In August, during the summer months, we redeploy our special operations units to all gangs all the time. Typically in the summer months are violent months and when we have spikes in gang crimes. At the end, when school starts, we then deploy our tabs, which I'll talk about in a little bit, our truancy abatement cars. And then we redeploy our special operations units to help out with hotspots within the city.
Your districts, you have alpha districts, how do those relate to city districts?
They're overlapping. Yeah, they don't coincide with the city district.
So these are police divisions within?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We can get the commission a map at the next meeting, or I can
That'd be
email it
helpful.
out.
So the next slide. That's the Southern Division. And you'll note, like back in the end of last year, when we had some heavy spikes in the Almaden area, that's the blue line up there, which was District Adam. So when we see those spikes and trends start to go up like that, that's when we'll look and reevaluate our deployment of resources. And at that time, that's when we took our TABS units and we deployed all our TABS units down there and our special operations units to see if we can help impact. Because realistically, our patrol division is pretty overwhelmed with just keeping up with calls for service to ensure that they're available when everyone calls, when the citizens call. So by utilizing our special operations division, using overtime suppression cars, we can deploy those additional units to the areas that are affected. And lastly is the Western Division. And these are just some examples of different ways that we try to analyze the data that comes in over time. And we can either do it long-term or we can do it short-term, and I have some examples coming up in the next slides. Next thing we'll talk about is truancy abatement, burglary suppression. That's our TABS program. It was, 25 years ago it was implemented, maybe 30 years ago. And really was to address truancy, and typically when kids are out of school and they tend to get into trouble one way or another. And so the program was instituted, and at that time we had a very high burglary rate, and with the implementation of the TAPS program, we had great success in reducing truancy and reduction in burglary, reported burglaries. So this year, these are just stats for this year, for the last August, September, and October. For this beginning of the school year, we've had 1,145 students that were processed through our TAP center. We've authorized 8 additional cars for the program, for total officers for the program to be deployed, because we have so many, currently we have so many backfills in patrol. So we have so many officers that have, we have holes in patrol, so we utilize overtime pay cars to fill those gaps. And in doing so, we affect other areas of deployment. So although I'd like to put 8 TABS officers out every day, typically we get 4 to 5 officers that come in. And they come in for 5 hours a day, and they're deployed to different parts of the city to address hotspots. Right now I have them committed to burglary suppression, because that's really where we need them, because that's their priority. So the next slide will kind of give you an idea of how we do that. Through the Omega dashboard system, we look at trending, and this is for the last month, October to November. These are reported residential burglaries. And that red hot spot is an area obviously of concern. And that's just where the majority of them are taking place, kind of in the south central San Jose. So we'll deploy the cars out there. As you can see, the yellowing areas above there are other areas that of concentration. And as an example, in the next slide, I show you, this is the last week. I did this for the last week, and it shows you the downtown area. So over a period of time, the trends actually move quite a bit. The department, in looking into utilizing technology to help deploy and solve crimes, is using this type of software, and the Omega system. I'm sure you've heard about predictive analytics, and they are developing software along the same lines to kind of help us look at where crimes are occurring. And this is just specific to burglaries right now. However, it is also utilized for traffic enforcement, high collision areas, gang-related incidents. So it covers a whole spectrum. And our patrol captains all use it. We're currently training area commanders or lieutenants and some sergeants also, and we'd like to continue to, anybody that wants to utilize the software can do that. So next we'll go to staffing, kind of give you a little update on where we're at with our staffing levels. So this is sworn staffing. We're currently authorized in the department for 1,109 officers. When 5 years ago, I think our authorized staffing was about 1,456, but with the budget issues that were going on with the city back then, we reduced our authorized levels to 1,109. Last year at this time, we had 1,009 positions that were filled, and currently we have 935. And really the bottom line number that I look at, because these are officers that can be utilized full duty, and ready to go on the street, is the last line, where we had 891 this time last year, and we're at 836 right now. So a lot of that has to do, last year we had a lot of resignations, and we had a few retirements. About the retirements have been fairly consistent. This year we don't have as many resignations, but we do have a lot more retirements this year. And that trend will continue for the next couple of years, because now we're getting to officers that have 25 years on, and at that time, 25 years ago, we were starting to hire large academy classes, size 40 and 50. So staffing issues that we're seeing are not only in the patrol and sworn levels, or communications also is having some difficulties with hiring and retaining communication staff. And those are just the numbers. They're down 4 from last year. The communication staff has had mandatory overtime for the last few years just to keep up in order to staff the answer the calls, the 911 calls that come in, and the dispatching of the channels. That's it.
Is this presentation going to be available?
I can send it to you if you, absolutely.
We'll post it on the web.
Okay.
That's,
Sure.
If you're sending out the presentation, it might be helpful if there was a map of the alpha districts so that people could coordinate and better inform their neighborhoods and understand themselves how it works.
staff will do that when we post the presentation.
Great, thank you very much. This was an excellent presentation. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Desiree Bergen, District 3. Can you tell us where the TAB centers are located currently?
So right now, currently we deploy out of one TAB center over at Powell Stadium, and that's where they are. The west side tabs that we used to have is, when we downsized everything, we just brought tabs back last year. So we just deploy out of one location right now.
Other questions? So when we put this thing on our work plan, I thought we had some other issues that you wanted to discuss too, but I'm trying to remember what exactly they were. I know Juan Estrada had a number of questions, but he's not here. One of the issues we had last year was concern about community policing, or becoming with the officers becoming familiar with the areas. That was related to what, 6-month rotations, and some places are very nice and stable, and I recognize the same officer in my area for years because they like the area, but other places they move every so often. It's a problem, I understand.
Well, typically every 6 months we have a shift change, and officers bid for the areas they work by seniority. And this, I think it's in January. I can't remember if it was this last shift change, so I apologize. Or if it's going to be the next shift change. We're going to have designated areas within the city that are 1 year, will be a 1-year shift change. So officers that do want to bid for that area can bid for 1 year. It's a meet and confer issue with the Police Officers Association. So it is on the table, and we've been talking about it. Typically, the officers you do see on a regular basis are the ones that have a little more tenure in the department, and so they have the ability to go ahead and bid those over and over again, and we commonly see that. The younger officers are the ones that get bounced around a lot.
And was there also a question about interaction with the police, whether they just drive around in the cars, or whether they are out in, I don't know, meeting people at farmers markets and just saying hi to the public? I don't know how you do it. I have very little interaction with the police. No problem.
I have another question in follow-up to what you were just talking about, which is, what are the districts that are going to be available to that 1 year?
I think they're looking at one district. So we have 16 districts. So, I think the starting point when negotiating this out is one per district. And as far as getting out of the car and interacting, I mean, community policing is a huge part of this department. It always has been. I think where I remember when I was younger, going downtown, and there was officers everywhere. And you've probably seen it now, where you see officers either driving around or walking around, and you don't see that anymore. And that's just because of the deployment we have. You know, we try to put 4 officers. Well, the mandatory is at least 4 officers in every district when they deploy. 16 districts. That's the very minimum.
And these are going to be patrol officers?
I'm just talking about patrol officers right now. Special operations supplements patrol. You have your merge team, your SWAT team, our Metro team, works narcotics and gangs. Our gang suppression unit is out there, does gangs all the time. And then your additional quality of life cars, burglary suppression cars, those are all in addition to patrol. I'm just talking about patrol officers. They're really tasked with, you know, answering your 911 calls and being available to respond to those. So I know that they would like to interact more and, you know, to get out more. A lot of times they're just tied up and they can't. One of the things we did implement last year was the community service officers. And we currently have 20 community service officers, and we're looking to hire 24 more. And they really have supplemented our patrol division extremely well. They're taking those lower priority calls, those paper calls that the officers would typically take, and they're doing an outstanding job. So that has helped, and what that does is it helps our response times.
In District 1, City Council District 1, what's the allocation of police officers for that district?
I'd have to see exactly where that.
Ballpark. Well, it goes from Lawrence Expressway to Winchester and Stevens Creek to Hamilton.
Well, yeah, I'd have to see what the police districts are. Typically, out in District Nora, which would be the police district Nora in that area, is 5 to 6 officers. And that's a huge area to cover out there.
Why I ask is I can't remember the last time I saw a police presence anywhere.
Right.
I'd like to see a police presence
So,
in that district. Just riding around would be nice, especially at night,
yes.
since I've had 2 incidents in my neighborhood of car thefts. But just for your information.
So I guess I have a question. Is there any information you'd like to share with the community, or any information you want to ask of us that we could get from the community to forward to you?
No, personally, I just like to thank everyone with being patient with what's been happening with our department. It's very challenging. I'm very optimistic that with the negotiations that have been going on between the city and the POA, that we can, you know, put a lot of these issues behind us, and we start really recruiting and retaining the people we need to get back to the way it was. I still think this is the best police department in the nation. I know people will argue with me all day long with that, but this is my city and my department, and you know, we want to provide every citizen with the best service we can. And you know, sometimes our hands get tied, but if you call, we'll be there for you. So I just, you know, thank you for that and inviting me tonight.
I just want to say that out in the community, it appears that the morale is up, and what is nice to know is that some of those officers who left are coming back. So hopefully that will also help to expedite the growth, the regrowth in the department, because it was really bad. And to tell you the truth, I've been in District 2 since 1976, And we are still, for the first time, seeing more burglaries, even in the daytime. And when we were kind of exempt, or we felt exempt over there in the area. And I want to say thank you for all that you do to try to eradicate some of these criminals.
Well, thank you.
I just want to give a quick fact here. When I first started in my volunteer services, I was an intern for the San Jose Police Department and worked with Tubbs in Willow Glen, so it's good to hear. Everyone's back.
Yes, Linda?
I'm Linda Locke from District 4 of Berryessa, and our group, Berryessa Citizens Advisory Council, we are in contact with the police every month. We invite them to come. If they're available, they come, they give us a report and let us know what's going on. We tell them things that we're concerned about. So that's been a really good relationship for us too. So it'd be nice to have that one person that people would be able to come out there all the time. But it's been a really good relationship and a way to make contact with the community.
Well, Captain Mata is here tonight. He is your captain for that area. So he's your man. If he can't be there, he goes to a lot of community meetings out there, but I'm sure he will have somebody there for you.
Yeah. We in communication with that stuff.
Good.
Okay. Any other questions?
Can you
Oh,
also
yes.
leave some cards
Yes, ma'am.
behind as well for Captain Mata?
Okay.
Any public comment?
Oh, I forgot to say, any public comment, questions? Forgot to ask that at the last one. Sorry.
We didn't have any cards, so.
I know there's I do have a speaker card on fireworks, but other than that, yes, you want to talk on this topic? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm Carol Spring with Coyote Creek Neighborhood Association, District 2, South San Jose.
Grab it, you can raise it. Just grab it in the middle and pull up. Does it have it right?
Where?
Right below this microphone. Grab there.
Here we go. Better. Now you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to thank the police department because I think I go back 35 years of neighborhood watch, crime prevention. That's at the top of my list for my neighborhood volunteer. So I appreciate what you're doing. I want to be public about that. Captain Schroeder is our captain. We did have, who's assistant?
Benny was there. Benny was
No.
another one.
Guess again.
Sorry. He came to our
Yeah,
neighborhood.
anyway,
We used to have Ricky and then we had Shawnee.
Shawnee Williams. Okay,
Promote.
amazing. And I just want to say our relationship has been incredible with San Jose PD, including, we coordinate also with Santa Clara County, Parks Division, sheriffs, and also the rangers, because in our neighborhood we have county, city, Caltrans, water district, on and on and on. So we appreciate everything that you do. Thank you. I'm really happy about body cameras. So thanks for all that too.
Okay. Any other public comment on this issue? Okay. Thank you very much.
So
Thank you.
just to make sure that the commission knows, two things. One, we did have a letter today from a member of the public regarding burglaries that her family has experienced, and we invited her to come tonight. I will share that with the commission, but was unable to redact it in time for tonight's meeting. So that will go out to all of you, because I have to redact like her email address and such. But that has also been shared with Deputy Chief Knopf before tonight's meeting. And then the other is just a reminder that this is not the first discussion of neighborhood safety, but it will be on next month's agenda as well to talk about gang issues specifically.
Oh, and I do remember
Or in January.
one other issue is you're getting a new police chief coming up very soon. Is there recruitment for it? Is there a public outreach process for that?
Well, Chief Escobar will be retiring
Right.
on January 16th.
Right.
And Assistant Chief Garcia will be the interim police chief until a decision's made. I guess that rests with the city manager on whether they go out or whatever that decision. How is
I
that?
remember 2 years ago, there was a public outreach process to ask what type of questions should be asked for recruiting or.
I'm sure the city manager's office will be messaging that process.
I do have one.
I'm sorry.
So, let's see,
I had one more comment about District 1 that I forgot to mention. Two homeowners associations that I'm familiar with, one with 350 residents, another with approximately 100, that retain private security firms to control their homeowners associations because of the number of burglaries and car thefts. So they've done that at their own expense.
Yeah, I am aware that there are a number of homeowner associations throughout the city that have actually done that. So, it's, unfortunate that we're, at that state. I agree. But thank you.
okay, Norma?
Yeah. This is my last question, and that is whether or not, now that you do have a little bit of increased funding, if you've been able to replace the position that, I believe Dick De La Rosa was the first person in that position on gang, specifically assigned to control gang task force.
Oh, the Mayor's Gang Prevention Task Force?
Yeah.
So we currently, Mario. Huh? Oh yeah, Mario Micial he is in charge of the Mayor's Gang Prevention Task Force.
Okay.
And has been for several years, and we work very closely, and the captains attend meetings, monthly meetings with them, and to discuss the gang issues, and we actually come up with, that's how we get our gang hotspots throughout the city. We currently have 12 gang hotspots throughout the city. And so, and all it does is focus their resources and attention, and then our resources to those specific areas.
Okay.
So Mario will be coming to your January meeting, and he will give you an update as to sort of the other perspective and how the community-based organizations and the city staff that works, the gang task force, Mario is out of the Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhood Services Department,
Okay.
but he'll be presenting to you in January and answering questions about that intersection between community and the police on gang issues.
David?
Hi, David Dearborn, District 6. Months ago, there was discussion about, I guess during the mayoral campaign, a discussion about neighborhood security cameras, sharing information, those from commercial sites, residential sites, etc. Has there been much movement on that, and have you felt or do you notice any effects of that, and could you talk to it?
Well, actually, we do have a camera registry now that you can register your cameras, and you do have the ability to either give access to the police department or just to let us know that you do have recorded video footage available in case we do have an incident in your neighborhood. To be honest, more times than not, residents hear about burglary and they want to investigate it as quickly as also, and they'll let us know, hey, I've got the video camera, I got the footage for you. But it has been very successful in a lot of cases. We put out a video, our media relations unit has been putting out video and through their website and press releases for the media. And we had, I forget the specifics, but it was a burglary case. The video was put out. We had a subject that was shot during the burglary. That video was put out. We got leads on the identity of those people, and those people are currently in custody. So it does work, and it is a great tool.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you much. We need to get on with the agenda, so we're glad you came. Thank you.
Thank you very much.